20th trip to Northern Ireland. She's been greeted with protests in the past by Republicans who see her as the head of state of an occupying power. But this is being seen as a landmark moment in the peace process. Let's get a viewpoint on this from David Davis, the MP for Halton Price and Howden, who I think, David, morning, by the way.
Good morning.
You've worked in Northern Ireland in the past, haven't you?
Only as an MP, only little bits and pieces here and there. But I've taken a big interest in it. I devised some of the policies to cut the funding of the IRA, to cut the illegal funding was one of the big things I did out there. So I know the area well, and this for me is I think it's a very good move. I mean, I remember vividly. I gave evidence in a trial against an IRA targeter some years ago, and it struck me at the time, his lawyer, their most senior defence lawyer for the IRA, refused to be called Queen's Counsel. He called himself Senior Counsel. Mm-hmm. And it just sort of struck me that absolutely, in every respect, refused to recognise the monarchy, refused to recognise the Union, and that was how inbuilt this antagonism was. And if this is an end to that, then it's a very good day.
Are you surprised that we've got to this stage, given what you know of the history?
Well, slightly, but I think every step of this process has been a little bit surprising. I mean, and what I think has helped drive this, I mean, bluntly, is raw politics. The Queen's visit to the Republic of Ireland was a fantastic success. It certainly was a start of a new era in our relationship with the South. And it was so successful. Nobody could criticise it, except, of course, Sinn Féin wouldn't meet her in the South. Mm-hmm. And they were described as churlish by lots of people who otherwise they would have viewed as friends and allies. And I think they realised they've got to come into the modern age. And however the process happens, if what it means is that they put violence behind them forever, if what it means is that they're accepting the Union, what it means is that they are, as I think Tremont McGuinness said, reaching out a hand of friendship to the Unionist community, then that can't be bad.
I've got to ask you, I'm fascinated by the fact that you've been involved in things in Northern Ireland. Were you on a hit list for a long time?
Well, I was for a while, yeah. For a few years, I was on a death list, as they call it.
How do you cope with that?
Well, it's slightly irritating in the sense that you've got to sort of take precautions, but mostly you can keep them not too obvious. I know once or twice, I remember one occasion a constituent of mine was horrified to find me with my car bonnet, boot, everything open, and a mirror in my hand, checking it, because on that occasion I had to park in a very obvious public place. I'd been able to be seen getting in and out of the car. The car was there for an hour while I was dealing with a function of the constituency, and so I had to go through it. Most of the time I could avoid that because I could find ways of putting my car in more awkward places for people to get at, and I used to do other things like change the routes and so on. So it's sort of irritating, but and some of my colleagues in the House, most obviously Ian Gow, were killed by the IRA. But you sort of get used to it. You just deal with it, really.
What would you say to John Hendo, who's tweeted this at BBC Bernsey? The Queen should be nowhere near McGuinness. Ever see the Roger Cook programme a few years back? He's got blood on his hands.
Oh, I mean, let's not kid ourselves. Martin McGuinness obviously had a long association with violence before he came into government. But, we had a peace process for a purpose. And if it were just about Martin McGuinness, I might sympathise with that, your call, as it were. But the truth is, this is about other people. This is about actually rebuilding a community. Those on the Catholic side who had no part in the violence, those on the Unionist side who had no part in the wish for the violence, I think we owe it to them to help rebuild the community. And I have of all the people down here in Westminster, I'm probably the one with least sympathy for Sinn Féin and the IRA, the old IRA. But the truth is, we've got to build a community so that ordinary people can, ordinary youngsters can grow up and have a decent life and a decent career and raise their families without fear and misery. During the Troubles when I went there, the thing you noticed was the sheer disruption to ordinary people's lives, a great division of communities, those hideous great fences built right through the middle of communities. When I went to, what was it was Coal Island once, and somebody in the system found out I was going there and had a panic. And they had stop and searches, they had queues a mile long getting in there because they were trying to just check everybody. That sort of thing, you just don't want to happen in the United Kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a step away from that. So whatever you think, and it's not for me to forgive Martin McGuinness, it's for the people who suffered at the hands of him and his colleagues. Whatever you think about that, I think that we've got to think about the future. We've got to think about youngsters growing up in Northern Ireland now, and we've got to do everything possible to push it forward. And that's what the Queen will be thinking. I know how she will view this. She will view the troubles in Northern Ireland is a great wound on her country, and this is her way of healing that wound or helping heal that wound, and that's what she's there for, and that's what she's brilliant at.
David, as always, thank you very much for your time and your insight. Appreciate that.
My pleasure.
Have a good day. There you go, David Davis.